Hello everyone, this is Susie Q of Susie Q's Happy Little Haven, and welcome to my nursery room window. So today I have baby Jackson with me, and I'm doing a day late themed Thursday. Yesterday was a really busy day with processing about 7 pounds of green beans from my garden. And so I didn't get a chance to do it then, but I'm very happy to be able to do it today, which is on Friday. Anyway, Theme Thursday this week is A Camping We Will Go, and then the alternate is wild critters that you would find on a camping trip. And also, if you would like to share a camping story. So I'm going to be doing all of those, and I'm going to have fun sharing some camping stories from when I was a child and when we used to go camping. But before I do that, I'm going to put little Jackson down right here on his pillow, and I want to show you what I'm going to be changing him into. And so I'm kind of still trying to figure out what to put on little baby Jackson, since his limbs are shorter than the average limbs. And so some of these things are going to be a little bit big, but like I said, I'm still experimenting. But I found this really cute outfit. I mean, like a sweater. And so it's got a squirrel, which you would definitely find on a camping trip, and a raccoon, and a bear. And then underneath that, I am going to put this onesie on him, which is also a little bear pocket. I thought that would be really cute on him. And I'm going to be rolling up the sleeves because his little arms are just a little bit short for these outfits. Now, he is a 0 to 3 months. But, you know, because he's a chubby little guy, but of course the 0 to 3 months are going to have like a lot longer arms. The shorts that he's going to be wearing today for his camping trip are these denim shorts, and they are size 0 to 3 months, and they're elasticized around the waist. And so I'm curious to see how these are going to look on him too. They'll probably be a bit too long, you know, like it'll go up way too high. But anyway, I'm having fun experimenting, seeing what fits him and what doesn't. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started and get this little guy dressed. And I wanted to talk about my my camping experiences as a child. Well, so I grew up camping. I remember camping from the time I was, well, ever since I started my memories. My memories start at about probably, I would say 5 years old, when I was in kindergarten. And we used to go camping in California, in this place called Bishop Creek, California. And we'd go camping way up in the mountains. And by the way, I was born and raised in California, and I only moved to West Virginia about 20 years ago. So I spent most of my life in California. Anyway, so what we would do, we were a family of 6. I have 2 younger brothers and an older sister, and we had a station wagon. And my mom was really, really good at packing up the station wagon. She would get enough groceries for, I think we were gone for 2 weeks, actually. And so she would get enough groceries for 2 weeks, and she would pack the back of the station wagon up with all the groceries. And she was really, really good at packing. You know, they were all like canned goods, packaged goods, jarred goods, you know, things like that. That's things that couldn't get crushed. And so she would put all of those groceries in the back of the station wagon, and then on top of the station wagon, she would build a nice thick bed. And so all of us kids would ride in the back. And by the way, the seat came down too. So it was like a really nice long area for us kids. And we were probably all of the ages of like, well, if I was 5, then my sister was 8, and then my brothers were younger than me, so they were like, 2 and 3 years old, that type of thing. So, but anyway, yeah, we all fit back there, and so we'd pile into the station wagon, and the trip seemed like it took forever to get there. But it was a day, it was a day-long trip. Gosh, I should have looked up to see how far it was from where we lived to Bishop Creek, but I didn't. But anyway, one of the interesting things that I remember about the drive is that it used to get really hot. I mean, because we were going through a desert, some desert that we went through every time we went camping there. And so my dad, I guess this was back in the day that you did this. He had this big canvas bag, and he put, they filled it with water, and then he hung the bag on the door of the station wagon, and as we drove, the air cooled the water, and then when we would stop for breaks, we would all get a drink, and from a cup out of the canvas bag. It had kind of like this spout at the end, and I thought that was really cool. At the time, at the time that we were doing it, of course, it was just normal, and I didn't think it was cool or anything. Or I was just really glad to have a nice cool drink. But later on, as an adult, and when I got older, I thought, what a nifty idea to do that. And it was probably what they did back in those days. I mean, that was before bottled water and probably before ice chests, I guess. I don't know. But it was in the like late 50s, early 60s, something like that. So anyway, the roads that we took were really, really treacherous. Because they were mountain roads. Back in those days, there was no guardrails. And when I'm talking about mountains, I'm talking about way up in the mountains where, there was no official campsites. You just, drove up to the mountains and chose a big old pine tree to pitch your tent. And that's the way it went. You didn't have to pay for it or anything. Look at how good these shorts fit this little guy. These are 0 to 3 months denim shorts, and I thought they would be going all the way up to his neck, but because of the length of his body, they're perfect. You look so cute in these shorts. I could just leave this sweater off. It's actually a hoodie. I should have showed you. It's a hoodie that has little animal ears on it, which represent probably the bear and the squirrel and the raccoon. So, anyway, I just thought it was adorable. Oh, I forgot to show you the shoes. These little sandals. These little camping sandals. So, but anyway, yeah, no official campsites up there in those days. But yeah, the mountain roads. Us kids called those mountain roads the I can't bear to look mountain roads, because here we are. We're in the back of the station wagon, and the roads were so narrow that when we looked out of the window, all we saw was just, this huge big canyon down below. That, because we were up on a mountain road, and, there were windy roads, and anyway, one of the things that used to happen on those roads is because they were so narrow, a lot of times in parts of the road, if there was another car, coming our way, we would have to back up because there was no room to pass. We would have to back up until we found a place in the cutout. I think they called it a cutout in the mountain, and that way we could, turn into the cutout, and then the car could then pass safely. So, anyway, that's one thing I remember too, was that the mountain roads were just so treacherous like that. So we called them the I can't bear to look roads. Couple of fun things. We used to have what my mom would build what she called a privy tent, and I think that's really I think that's short for privacy, a privacy tent, and that's where our potty would be. And so it would be like a blanket hung over a tree limb and fastened down with rocks, I think, at the bottom. My mom was very industrious. Um, you know, she thought of everything. But yeah, we would use that and a bucket in there. And let's see, what else? Oh, I got to tell you about Viceroy stew. So my dad, he used to smoke cigarettes. Both my dad and mom are passed now. My dad passed probably about, I don't know, 15 years ago. My mom passed a couple of years ago. But anyway, my dad used to smoke cigarettes, and they were called Viceroy cigarettes. That was the name brand. One night it rained. It was raining really, really hard, and my mom. It started raining whenever my mom was cooking dinner. She was putting on some canned stew, and so anyway, what she would do is she would put we had a Coleman stove, and we also had a Coleman lantern, and anyway, she put this stew on the stove, and you know, and then she would run back into the tent, and then, you know, run back out to stir the stew and run back into the tent. My mom, I'll tell you, she went through a lot when we went camping, but she loved camping. But anyway, the reason that we called it Viceroy stew was because by the time we ate the stew, the bottom had burned. And I don't know if you've ever tasted burnt stew before, but it tastes just like, to us, it tasted like what the cigarettes smelled like. So anyway, we called it Viceroy stew. And but yeah, I have some really fun memories of camping. We used to take hikes to the lake. My dad loved to fish, and that's why we went camping, because he liked to stream fish, and then he would lake fish as well. And we used to go take hikes, and we would each get a Tootsie Roll lollipop to encourage us not to get tired, I guess. And so we would have a lollipop, and we would be, you know, walking along. And one of the things too that happened, you know, my Dolly friends that I've known for a few years now will remember this story. Anyway, we were going to cross a creek, and so in California, the creeks are they're just full of rocks, you know, and so what we would have to do to cross a creek is we would step on rocks to get across, like big rocks to get across, in order not to get our shoes wet. Well, my mom, we were going to cross this creek, and my mom said, "Okay, kids," and she would always, you know, whatever we were doing, she would always stop everybody and make us listen, and she would instruct us, because like I said, there was four little kids, and she said, "Okay, everybody, I'm going to walk across the creek, and I'm going to show you which stones to walk on, and so that you won't get your feet wet. And the first one that you know slips and falls in the creek is going to get a spanking." Well, anyway, I know you know the end of this story. She took a couple of steps, and her foot slipped on some moss probably, and she went kerplunk into the creek. And of course, us kids started laughing because, you know, Mom falling into the creek, that's a huge big deal, right? But anyway, by the time she got herself up and out of the creek and gave us the eagle eye stare, we stopped laughing, and because this wasn't funny anymore. But I do remember that, and I love to tell that story, because isn't it true that whenever you start telling somebody, don't do this, don't do that, then something happens. It happens to me anyway. It might just be something that I inherited, I don't know. But And then one other thing I was going to share is we used to have Spam back in those. Well, we still have Spam, but my mom would take Spam. It was really cheap back then, and so was Velveeta cheese, and we would have Spam and Velveeta cheese sandwiches for lunch. And anyway, notoriously, every time we would sit down to lunch and have these sandwiches or dinner, you know, but I remember the Spam sandwiches especially because it was meat. Yellow jackets, just all of a sudden yellow jackets would appear and they'd start buzzing around our mouth and trying to get in to try to get the Spam meat, and it was just miserable and it was terrible. And so that's one of the negative things that I remember about camping was those darn Spam sandwiches. I mean, they were good, but you know, we didn't like the yellow jacket wasps buzzing around our mouths. But anyways, I love remembering stories like that. So I am very pleased with how Jackson's outfit turned out. He looks really, really cute in it. And it fits him perfectly. It really does. And I like this little jacket. You know, it's got all the squirrel and the bear and the raccoon on it. And this is super cute. Let's see what the hoodie looks like. Let's see. Let's turn your head around so we can get your hoodie on his around his gorgeous hair. And there he is in his hoodie. He's ready to camp out in the evening when it gets chilly, and you know, he can either take his jacket off if it gets too warm, or he can leave it on for roasting marshmallows, which is another favorite thing that we used to love to do, or just walking around the campsite. So here he is, you guys, and I'm very, very pleased with how this outfit turned out. And it looks like I can probably get most 0 to 3 months on this little guy, and I'm really jazzed about that. And there's his little shoes. His shoes fit his feet really, really, really well. I mean, honestly, there's his heel, and then you can still see you can see his toes. So, anyway, I love this little guy. You can tell that I'm just really over the moon with him. So anyway, everyone, thank you for, you know, visiting with me and listening to my silly stories of our camping days back when I was a child. And I really enjoy telling those stories because I have some really fun memories of those. But anyway, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a great weekend. And until we meet again, bye-bye.